Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this was a Bauer Vapor 1X Pro Stock hockey glove. So I made a video in the past, which you can see on the right, of what a hockey glove is made of. This one is why Bauer gloves were really good, and specifically the Pro Stock ones, and kind of what they're made of, as we can see the parts here. So I'm going to talk about that and compare them to retail ones, and then also just other companies. But before all that, if you are buying any piece of equipment, please check out the link in the description to Pure Hockey and Pure Goalie. If you click that link, make a purchase. After clicking that link, I get a kickback, so help support the channel so I keep doing what I'm doing and making videos like this. All right, so originally I talked about the Vibero Dextra Pro glove. This was like the original version, and basically it was one piece of foam all the way through like this with a piece of plastic insert on like that. It was kind of glued on there. Not all of it, some of it fell off. The fingers specifically looked like this. So that's kind of like what their protection was and everything like that. Bauer is Bauer is sort of a unique company because they use Poron in their gloves. So this piece was for the backhand. I always talk about the backhand and how they took this out on the 1X lights and then also going forward on their gloves, but here it is for this. And the fingers and the rest of the foam package also had Poron as well. Obviously, I've started taking this glove apart, as you can see, but the way you can kind of tell what kind of foam it is you can feel how squishy it is and how dense it is in the plastic piece at the top. These ones obviously this is what it looks like when it's off. So you have your Poron piece, you have your harder density foam, which is honestly basically like really close to a styrofoam, but a really strong styrofoam. And then you have a plastic insert that goes over top just for like that full protection package. CCM does something similar to this in their XP gloves for Pro Stock. So this glove, you can see the orange here is D3O, and then it has a softer foam on top, and then it has the plastic insert at the very top. So you have that squish, the softer, and then there. I'm not taking this glove apart because I really like it, and I'm not doing that. Some CCM gloves have D3O all throughout the whole finger. So my 10KX, I think, have D3O throughout the whole finger, so it doesn't even have that piece on the top. But those ones are 12K XPs, and that's what these ones are made up of. So similar in terms of the Bauer design itself. CCM retail is the other way around. So instead of D3O at the bottom, it's a thin piece of D3O on top of like more traditional foam that isn't as dense, so it's a bit softer, and then it has a plastic insert. This one's more protective on the Pro Stock. So that's why I kind of mention how good CCM Pro Stocks are compared to their retail ones. But anyways, this is a great makeup of the glove because you have that three-piece. So the idea behind the three-piece of density foams, which most companies use now for all their gloves, the plastic takes the impact, right, and it gets dispersed into the lower foams, and eventually it should get less and less. The force should be less and less going into your hand itself. D3O and Poron are both smart foams. So the idea is the harder the impact, the harder the foam becomes, and it should act more like a dense foam like this, but they're still soft to the touch like this one, so it does give you that a little bit more comfort. With this, how hard this piece is, a lot of that impact should be dispersed throughout them and then softened down here, so this one won't take all that much impact. I think these gloves work really well for padding. I love D3O. It's very useful in a lot of pieces. I cut this out basically so I can put it into the backhand of some of my gloves to add, to remove some extra space to make them less sloppy. I love this piece. These are really cool. I wish they kind of sold them separately, but yeah. So we're going to take apart the rest of this glove and take a look at everything here, including their interesting thumb design, because this is their three-piece thumb. So I'm going to take that apart and we're going to talk about that as well. So someone on Reddit posted a picture of the Pro Stock Warrior gloves, and they thought that it was kind of ripped and it wasn't made correctly because of how this looked when they looked under it. So basically they went under here and saw like these pieces sticking out and thought, oh, that's like, is this ripped? Doesn't look right. Well, basically what this is it's just a piece of nylon stitched onto the cuff. So it acts as an anchor point. So when you look under here, well, you can see it. Like you can see it stitched right under there. That's how this one was. But here you can see it better where it's not just an extra like excess piece, not finished. Because as you can see, this is all finished. It's just sewn, an extra piece sewn on to be an anchor point, and that's all. Just people get confused at that and thought it was like a broken glove, but it wasn't. All right, so here we have the entire glove broken up. Here's what it was previously. Here's the cuff part previously. All the foams have been taken out. These plastics are for this cuff right here. Those are a different glove. So luckily I have another 1X Pro with a slightly different cuff, but the backhand is all the same, so I can match all of these up the way they are. So you can kind of see all the pieces on the ground compared to this as well. I am missing one piece right here, which is this piece. I have no idea where it went. It's somewhere, I can't find it. So just besides that one piece, everything else is here, which is kind of, in my opinion, pretty interesting. You can kind of see how all the foams are broken up. This is a much more complex design than what the new 2X Pros are, which are basically just 3 lines down right there. Still have the 3-piece and everything like that, but this is totally different as well as this. So something I thought was kind of cool is obviously you can see the Shore text kind of embedded on that right there, and you can kind of see the 1X Vapor part on here. So this is the foams that obviously sit right here, and you can see Shore 1X, and that's how they're stitched on. Kind of get imprinted on the foam itself, and that's the thumb. So Bauer has an interesting thumb. I think it was patented. It's supposedly a 3-piece thumb. You can see how it flexes like that. Well, it's actually not. So this is the thumb piece itself wrapped in foam. So you take it off, and here's the plastic. You can see it's only 2 pieces, and it flexes like that. And it has like, well, it has a mechanical hinge, as you can see right there with, I don't know if that's a bolt or what you would call that, but it is actually only a 2-piece design. But the way that it's designed is the way this sits. When you flex this part flexes with it as well. So it feels like it's a 3-piece design when in reality it's not. It's only a 2-piece. Bauer's gone away with this on some of their new ones, like the 2X Pro, for example. That's gone. But yeah, so another thing that's interesting is the cuff feels like there's plastic in it. It's really, really stiff, but it's not. It's just this piece of foam. You can see it right there. It might, like it's, I almost thought it had plastic inside here because of how hard this cuff is, but it doesn't. And you can kind of see it like this. The difference between, for example, this and the Verbero, which is a lower end one, you can see it has like 2 pieces of foam layered on there, but the softness of this is much different compared to this. This one is much thicker, much firmer cuff all the way through. Plastic would still make this more protective, but that's not what they went with. This is the flared part of the cuff, which you can't, this one doesn't have that type of flared cuff, but it would sit basically right here. So if you look at a 1X glove, the non-pro, it basically sits right there. These did have the plastic inserts on them as well. They just fall off, and because it's a rounded piece, I obviously can't show that. This was the tip of that flared cuff right here. And then these pieces, so this one goes basically right here. It's the same on the other one. And then these 2 little pieces, which are just 1 piece and it's sewn through, goes on the back side right there. So that's what ends up being there. Also, finally, this is on the liner. Can't really put it under all that, but it's basically this piece right under there on the liner. Again, kind of interesting. Another interesting thing is how this liner was red. This one was black. It feels like same material, just different colors. This kind of shows off why Pro Stock gloves are impressive, or at least specifically Bauer's were really good. And you can see like this backhand plate. So you have that big pour-on piece with like this hard foam, which is basically a styrofoam, to be totally honest. But all that impact has to go through plastic, which disperses into the harder foam, which then disperses into the softer foam, which will compress more and cause less impact on your hands. This is, like, these gloves are really, really good, and I got to give Bauer huge props for it, and it's why I always recommend people to go to Pro Stock gloves, because of this. Again, CCM Pro Stocks are like that too, but the retail ones aren't quite as robust as this. The other thing that's kind of interesting to me is the piece right here. So is different. So this one is different than what is on the one I just cut open. This one is solid and hard. The one I cut open, as you can see, has this, like this softer foam piece. So it's not even the really hard foam piece, plus pour-on, plus that piece right there. So this one, I might have not broken my finger if I got hit there, because I got hit right here, broke this finger, because that is just a solid piece of foam. Where the Pro Stock one, obviously I cut up, is that pour-on. This one is not that pour-on. So that is just a hard piece, just like the retail one. So that's kind of disappointing. But this one is better. So maybe this is the newer version and they upgrade this foam and changed it, but this one would probably work better than the hard piece in terms of protection. So it's kind of interesting there. The other thing I always find is really cool is how they end up shaving foams. So you can see how this foam to fit in this piece, which ends up being right here. As you can see, it's shaved down. So to fit in there, so you have that foam like the styrofoam type and it's shaved like this. One thing I want to mention about the styrofoam like foams seen here, sorry about the weird, people comment on Bauer goalie pads and goalie gear that it's styrofoam. I don't care that it's styrofoam, because if it works and protection's fine. This is probably working for their gloves because they keep using it. So I have no issues with it. This is on an NHL glove and it's like a dense foam that feels like a styrofoam. If it works, it's fine. I don't care the material. They back it up with other things there. So for construction, like to me, it doesn't matter. This is really impressive and I really like this. Hopefully this video was kind of cool, kind of insightful. Hopefully you thought it was interesting. Again, this is like what a low end glove is. And so this was out of a Robe glove. So when companies say, like when the cheaper companies and stuff say like, well, we have like pro level protection stuff, the difference is pretty big, even retail. So Bauer doesn't use Poron anymore in their 2X Pro gloves. That's why I was kind of disappointed with them. But as you can see, like the difference on these is pretty substantial. This one's going to be a lot more protective than this one is, using better foams as well. One thing I do want to comment about all these smart foams, so specifically D3O and the Bauer Poron, is that when it gets cold, the foam hardens up. So I have a couple CCM gloves where if it gets really cold, the foams just become totally solid. Same with these. So when I'm on the ice and I don't heat my gloves up because I'm not a pro, the foams in here become really hard. So it does change protection a little bit. So if you're not a pro in that sense, it might not be the best, but for me, it's fine. This piece is always really soft on mine because it's right against your hand and your hand basically keeps it warm. But when I broke my wrist, when I had tendonitis, I had to wear a wrist brace. So I popped these on the outside, and during the game, this piece was solid as a rock when I took it out of my glove because my hand wasn't heating it anymore. It's just something that I thought was kind of interesting and I wanted to bring up. So hopefully this video was kind of cool and helpful. Remember to subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, links are in the description. If you ever buy a piece of gear because of one of my videos, please reach out to a manufacturer, let them know on social media. Helps me get on their radar so I keep doing videos like this and keep making more content and doing reviews. If you are buying any piece of equipment, please check out the link in the description to Pure Hockey or Pure Goalie. Clicking that link, making a purchase, gives me a kickback, so help support the channel so I can keep doing videos like this and making more content. So thank you very much for watching and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.